Hello everyone, I'm bringing you the Mannequin of the Month for October 2024 today, and as usual the topic we're going to talk about was chosen via a poll over on Patreon, and that is the kit of a British infantryman serving in Northern Ireland in the mid-1990s. And basically this is more typical, say, for a rural patrol work rather than operating in more of an urban environment. Certainly the use of the chest rig and so forth was more common in that scenario, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we look at the Mannequin in more detail. This sort of represents the end of the period that I collect. My collection sort of stops. I had to draw a line somewhere, and it does stop in the mid-1990s, so basically a few years after the end of the Cold War. I draw the line at Combat Soldier 95 uniform. I don't collect that. So this is the last version of Combat Smock before that, and we'll get onto that in just a minute as well. We have looked at the Smock in detail on the channel previously. So we'll start talking about all of this kit in a bit more detail here. It's quite a Spartan Mannequin. There's not a huge amount to talk about here, but that's fairly typical of the time. At the top here, we have the combat helmet, the standard British issue combat helmet of the time, which of course is the Mark VI ballistic nylon combat helmet. And this is covered with a DPM cover, as is typical, with the elastic to allow the attachment of foliage and extra camouflage if required. The combat smock is what's referred to as colloquially as the 1994 pattern. And this is basically the last design of smock introduced prior to Combat Soldier 95. And it does have some features which were carried across, so the pocket design, the pocket layout and so forth, the use of large buttons on the pockets. Of course, Combat Soldier 95 would introduce the Canadian slotted buttons which attach with a loop of cloth. We still have 4-hole buttons on this design. We have 2 vertical zip pockets each side of the main zip closure there. This closes with a heavy-duty zip. Pointed pocket flaps, as you can see. We do have bellows pockets, which you can see the detail of that down here. This is a great step forward when compared to the 1984 pattern which preceded it. It's a heavier weight garment. It is much better quality in terms of manufacture. I think those who were issued these, and having had the 1984 pattern, would agree that this is a great step forward in terms of quality compared to the 1984 pattern, which is very justifiably denigrated for being a poor quality garment, and certainly in comparison to this it is. So an improvement in that regard. We'll talk about more details of this, of course, as we move the Mannequin around. Worn at the neck here, we have a shamag, which is a private purchase item. This in olive green and black, which was one of the common variants which was available at the time. And this is sort of a holdover from the Gulf War. During the 1990s, these became quite common to see British soldiers wearing in other theatres, other areas as well. And certainly with the combat uniform, an olive green and black would be typical for wear with a temperate uniform, of course. So we have that there. As I say, quite common to see in the 1990s as a sort of holdover from British involvement in the Gulf War. So we have a shamag worn at the neck there as a scarf. We have a chest rig here, which is something we've not really talked about on the channel previously. I've not done a video looking at these in detail, or this particular example in detail, and I don't think I've put together a Mannequin previously which has featured a chest rig. But this is one example of the chest rigs which were used at the time, and of course this would lead to the introduction of the issue Northern Ireland chest rig, which is something we will look at in the future. But this particular example is a private purchase example made by HM Supplies, and is one of various patterns which are seen in photographs at the time of different units in Northern Ireland. They were very common for men operating in a rural environment, and they allow for magazines to be carried in the front pockets here. You have a pocket on each side which will easily take a 1958 pattern water bottle and a cup, be it the plastic cup or the metal Crusader cup. The metal cup has advantage, of course, if you carry some rations and brew making equipment and so forth, perhaps a stove in the other pocket, you have enough there for a day patrol, perhaps, certainly with brew making kit and so forth, as well as the ammunition carried here. In addition to these pockets around the front here, in the centre, you have a mat pocket which fits in behind the ammunition pockets at the front there, and this closes with 2 blackened press studs, as you can see here. The ammunition pockets close with both press studs and touch and close or Velcro fasteners. And this is finished in DPM, as you can see. It's made of a very durable Cordura nylon edging and so forth. It's a very high quality piece of kit. The side pockets close with small Fastex type buckles there, as you can see, which can adjust with these nylon straps, so you can pull those in tight over whatever load you're carrying in these side pockets. So that's a look at this. We'll probably have a look at this in detail in a future video, laid out on the blanket. Can have a look at the closures and so forth, and have a look at the label down inside the mat pocket as well. Obviously there'll be a few more details of this to see as we move the Mannequin around, and we'll start doing that now. We'll move this around and have a look at the right hand side. Looking at the right-hand side of the mannequin here, there's not a huge amount more detail to see other than the elements we've talked about when looking at the front, but we can see that in a little bit more detail. Side profile of the Mark 6 helmet there, you can see the epaulette up on the shoulder of the combat smock here. You can see details of the arm there, the construction of this, strengthening up the top of the arm there. The cuffs adjust in with touch and close, so you can see there you've got a long strip of soft touch and close, and then the hook, a small tab, well, relatively long tab actually compared to some garments, but a tab with the hooked hook and loop fastener on there, and that gives plenty of adjustment for the cuff, so you can adjust that in easily there. If we lift the arm out of the way, you can see the side of the chest rig here and the pocket here, which is very similar to the size of pocket of the utility pouch, which is part of the PLCE, the personal load carrying equipment. Slightly larger, but very similar in size. And as I say, it will easily take a 1958 pattern water bottle and cup nested together in there, and you could probably put some other bits and pieces in there alongside as well. And then you have this nylon strap with the Fastex buckle there, so very easy to get in and out of with one hand, and that can be adjusted in depending on the size of the load you're carrying in the side pocket there. So that's the detail of the side pocket on the chest rig there. You can also a little bit more clearly see the lower pocket on the smock there as well. That's it for the right hand side. We'll move this around now and have a look at the back. Looking at the back of the mannequin here, the main thing to note is the way the chest rig is carried, and you'll notice we have the shoulder straps coming over here. They cross high up in the back. The two padded sections are stitched onto these nylon straps here, which then adjust in. On the side of the chest rig, there's a plastic buckle here. Hopefully you can see that. And that allows it to be adjusted in for comfort and to carry this securely against the body. And then there is also a waist strap which comes round from the bottom of the side of the chest rig here, and that has a Fastex buckle here, so this can be fastened around the waist once it's been put on, and obviously tightened in for comfort and to distribute the load between the shoulders and the hips, given where this is carried on the body. Another thing, of course, with this is it does keep the back clear for carrying a rucksack. So if on an extended patrol, needing more than could be carried for just a day, obviously this allows you to easily carry and comfortably carry a rucksack on the back. And that's very common to see as well on rural patrols in Northern Ireland, the chest rig with a rucksack carried as well. Obviously, chest rigs have advantages in other situations as well. Notably, they were used in the Gulf by armoured infantry, because obviously if you're sitting in an APC, not having pouches around the back of the belt is an advantage. So, and there are advantages from having a rucksack as well. You don't have any pouches at the back of a belt interfering with carrying a rucksack on the back. So chest rigs have various advantages. There are disadvantages to them as well, but certainly in Northern Ireland at this time, they were very much preferred for rural operations in particular. So that's the back of the mannequin there. And then moving around to look at the left-hand side, the chest rig is basically a mirror image. You have the same design of side pouch around there, as you can see. The main detail difference here is to notice on the smock, and that is we have an arm pocket on the left arm here, pointed pocket flap with a small 4-hole button there, and it can be used for carrying pens and other bits and pieces in there. It has a divided off single pocket at the front there for carrying a pen. But just a useful utility pocket on the arm of the combat smock there. That's basically it. It's otherwise pretty much a mirror image of what we saw on the right-hand side of the mannequin. So I hope you found it interesting looking at this. It's made to be sort of as generic as possible, and obviously there's a lot of unit variation at this time. There's a lot of variation from soldier to soldier as well, in terms of private purchase kit which was used, provided it sort of fitted within unit standard operating procedures and the load required could be carried. Some variation in the specific design of chest rig and so forth was certainly permitted. You see a variety in photographs even within one unit. And this is one example which was certainly in use at the time, this particular design that is. So I hope it's been interesting looking at this. It's just one snapshot. I say if you're interested in this era of British Army operating in Northern Ireland, look at photographs. It will show you the huge variety of kit that was in use at the time. And again, that depends on the specific operation as well, whether it's in a rural, an urban environment, the length of the operation and so forth. So just something to bear in mind. This is one snapshot of that time period. And there are lots of variations out there as well to have a look at, and there are plenty of photos available online if you'd like to research this topic further. It's certainly quite an interesting era for the British Army operating in Northern Ireland. So hopefully you found it interesting looking at this, as I say. If you have and you'd like to see more of this sort of thing, please do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And whether you're newly subscribing or you've previously subscribed, please do make sure you hit the little bell, the notification button down below. That will of course alert you when I upload future videos. If you really like my uploads and you would like to support the channel, you can. Both Patreon and PayPal are linked down below. And as I always say, a massive thank you to everybody who supports the channel using those two methods. It really is greatly appreciated. Big thank you to all of you. Thank you very much indeed. Obviously Patreon, as I mentioned at the start of the video, the corporal tier over there is the way you get to vote on what's going to be covered each month. There are usually 3 choices, and this is what topped the poll this month. If you'd like to see stills of this, photographs, there will be photos posted up on social media. Facebook, Instagram and Twitter are all linked down in the description, and I tend to do a sort of a rotation round, a photograph at each angle looking at this. So if you'd like to see the stills showing the details of this, check out social media. If you'd like to get in touch with me but you don't really use social media, I do also have an email address linked to the channel, and that's down in the description as well. So if you want to get in touch with me, but also social media, some of the messenger systems and so forth on social media aren't that great. So I do try and check that email inbox every week, and it's probably the most reliable way of getting in touch with me, provided things don't get diverted to spam. But anyway, that's it for this video. I do hope you found it interesting, and until next time, bye for now.